Very proud to speak to this rally, and even prouder to have stood alongside all the recycling workers over the last 2 or 3 years while they've been in dispute, first with Sova and now with Sova 2, the Green Company. I don't know if you all realise, but these group of workers have taken over 50 days of strike action over the last 2 or 3 years, 30 odd days against Sova, against redundancies, against cuts in the opening hours of the recycling plant, which meant cuts in their hours and therefore cuts in their pay, and now against the scandal of the Green Company and everything that's happening with it. And I'm very proud that the Socialist Party in Sheffield has been on the picket line with those workers since day one and throughout all those 50 odd days of strike action. We took a petition, I think alongside the GMB, of 4,000 to the council meeting a couple of years ago, calling on the council to support the recycling workers in their strike action, but also that the council should end the contract with Sova and bring that service back in-house, back under council control. We were also involved in direct action in order to support the workers on the picket line for fears in relation to secondary picketing. Then Socialist Party members blockaded the gates here and at Shirecliffe, stopping particularly the private contractor Hague that was used by the company to try and break the strike, replacing the Viola drivers from the GMB that refused to cross the picket lines. In the end, because of the police, we didn't stop them altogether, but we certainly managed to slow them down, stopping wagons for an hour or two at a time on several occasions. On another occasion, when unfortunately the council on one strike day actually publicly advertised Hague's compound in Attercliffe as being open to the public for them to take their waste when the sites were on strike, and we picketed that for 3 hours on a Saturday morning, and only one member of the public actually went in, and that site was never used again. Now, as socialists, we are, I'm sure here, all 100% opposed to the privatisation of all our public and council services. And as has already been said, what's happened here over the last 3 years highlights everything that's wrong with privatisation. From what's been said by the GMB, it sounds like we might be at the end of Martine Le Fan Butler running her dictatorship over these sites. We might be at the beginning of the reinstatement of Gordon and Jim and the management, a team that were victimised and sacked by her. But I would say we ought to call on the council to go further than that. This can't go back to another charity. This can't go back to another privatisation contract. This should come back in-house under council control. Not only that, I think the contract should be taken off Veolia. They've backed them up all the way. They've backed Martine Le Fan Butler all the way. The contract for the waste management, which I think runs for another 25 or 30 years under private control, should be brought back in-house. Some of you will say there are legal difficulties. I'm sure there are legal difficulties. But the housing's been brought back in, Key's been brought back in. If there's a political will, then the way will be found to bring the waste recycling services back in-house, back under public control. And while I'm at it, we might as well say that the council should also bring the rest of the privatised services back. I don't know if you all realised, but the last time I saw official figures, more than 50% of this council's expenditure goes to private companies, goes to Amy, goes to Kia, goes to Veolia, goes to Capita and the rest of the private firms that are leeching from council taxpayers' money in this city. we should be saying that a Labour Council should be examining ways that they can take those contracts back under public control and return Sheffield to be a city based on municipalisation rather than privatisation. The last point I'd like to make is where we go from here. Hopefully, as has been indicated, the end of Martin Lafan Butler is in sight. But it's been threatened. If not, then the next picket will be at Bayton. I'd like to suggest, if the next picket's at Bayton, that we're not stood at the equivalent of over here, but we're all stood at the equivalent of over there, and we cause as much blockade as possible to stop wagons going in and out in order to affect what that company's doing. Thank you.
Well done.